Internet nitpicking has done more damage to media as a whole than it has helped it. I could, and probably should, spend this entire video just saying I'm sorry again and again and again and again, but I think that wouldn't make for a very interesting video. So let me be clear what I mean first of all. There's a difference between criticizing something and nitpicking something. And keep in mind, I am admitting to doing both of these. One of my more recent reviews, Brawl in the Family, Lincoln isn't aware of the protocols that goes on his own house, that he's lived in his entire life. He doesn't know about this sister fight protocol. And that ruins the experience of the episode. It's frustrating and it's forced. Something else that you could complain about, Lincoln has 10 sisters. This is incredibly illogical, and it is also something that is forced. But that is what the show is about. If you didn't have that happen, you'd have no show. There's this concept that we used to have called suspension of disbelief. Most fiction of some kind has a concept that probably couldn't happen in reality. A boy gets a letter to a magical school. A man's entire life was a TV show. A news reporter repeats the same day over and over again. All concepts are entirely unbelievable. They don't happen in reality. And there are 1,000 different illogical absurdities that you could point out in each and every one of these things. But that is the point of fiction. Like, let's take a look at Harry Potter and the internet's treatment of the concept. How many times have you heard, "What's the mortality rate at Hogwarts? What about satellites? Why are they making these students take their detention in the super deadly forbidden forest? How do the kids learn reading and math if their only schooling is magic?" You know, as a kid, I didn't care about any of this stuff. Why? Because the story is about a kid learning to do magic at a magic school, and that's fun and cool. But because it's not a real thing that really happens, you do need to fudge things up a bit. The haunted living castle is logically impossible, and even a bad idea in the real world, but not in the book's world. This film takes place less than a year after the September 11th terrorist attacks. I bring this up because it radically altered the culture of the time, in ways that make this movie feel exceptionally ignorant of the time. That was a stupid point. I'm not gonna defend it. And I can't say sorry enough for this kind of stuff that I've been doing throughout my entire career. I'm surprised it took this long for it to catch up to me. Turning Red has a world where a girl turns into a giant panda. The movie's got other problems, like real problems. But when you elevate a statement like that to one of those quote-unquote real problems, people listen and media overall gets worse because of this. Beauty and the Beast, for instance. There's one thing which people like to call a plot hole, that the prince was cursed for being rude when he was like 10 years old. And so they fixed that. They changed the rule in the remake. And in making the remake, they made everything else about the film worse. Oh, Belle has Stockholm Syndrome. No, she doesn't, and it's disrespectful to assume that about what she goes through. We're going to change up her personality and make her super independent so the story doesn't make sense anymore. There are flaws with a movie, a book, whatever, that can break a good, entertaining time. But there are also these things called acceptable breaks from reality. It seems so much this day and age that people need to turn magic into math so they can make sure that all of the numbers add up. When it's magic. When the point of magic is so that the numbers don't have to add up. Speaking of which, a story is like a magic trick, especially a fictional story. Magic isn't real, but the idea of the show is to make an illusion happen. When the trick isn't good or entertaining, that can be why we see the magician pulling a card out of their sleeve. The problem isn't that they pulled a card out of their sleeve. The problem is that that's where we were looking in the first place. The man says to the mirror. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I've been on both sides of this one. I've written a lot of fantastical things, not just the big obvious one, that have literally been questioned to death. And I have questioned a lot of other things to death as well. How long is a moon, Celestia? How did the ponies get such fitting names, Celestia? How did all the ponies not freeze to death in the endless night, Celestia? And as a result for abandoning suspension of disbelief, we now have media that keeps trying to give an explanation to magic, and making magic logical is stupid. Answering questions about a fantasy world can lead to interesting places, but I firmly believe that a bad answer to the magic, or whatever makes your story different from reality, is infinitely worse than not ever giving an answer. I believe that when we nitpick in such a way, at best we're ignored, and then franchises go on to make a mess. You know, like when wizards shat on the floor and then teleported their shit away before they head indoor plumbing, despite the climax of one of the books taking place in a secret chamber in a bathroom that existed when the castle was built. In even worse scenarios, media is made to preempt these nitpicks instead of, I don't know, telling a story.
10 years we've been rusting, needing so much more than dusting.
Too long we've been rusting, needing so much more than dusting.
If a one-off line in a movie about a magical curse broken by true love ruins it, maybe this isn't the genre for you. I'd recommend The Dictionary, or the nutritional facts on the back of a bag of potato chips.
thiamine mononitrate? What a plot twist!
CinemaSin style commentary, what I like to call ding criticism, has done such a damage to basically every industry it's touched. Now, this isn't me saying that all criticism is bad, God forbid. In Frozen, for instance, Hans is a poorly written character. He's inconsistent, and it's something that can't really be shrugged off. And it's bad writing any way that you slice it. The Trolls plan and the parents going along with it makes them all seem very stupid, which damages their characters. These are problems with the movie that probably should have been fixed in the writing room. And if they were fixed, it would make a more structurally sound, better film overall. I can't promise that I'm never going to fall into this again. Like, we all have moments and off days, and sometimes it is fun to joke about this kind of stuff, but I really have been trying to separate valid criticism from ding criticism.
This film takes place less than a year after the September 11th terrorist attacks.
I'm sorry. I'll get the cat of nine tails if it'll help.